Hello and welcome to the quick start guide for my new UMAtavism integration. Just to get things straight, the reason I'm doing this is to make things simpler, make it easier to add new races. There is already an UMA plugin for Atavism, but it's based on the older version of UMA, which means Atavism has to do a lot of work. UMA 2.8 now does all sorts of things since Atavism was originally developed. So we can take a lot of that work away from Atavism and keep things really clean. So what we'll do here, we'll quickly get it installed and set up, and then in further videos I'll go through how it works, how we can add clothing, and how we can add new races. So let's get started. What I would like is, if people are going to use this, if you can give me some feedback, either in Discord or in the comments to this video. But I would like you to try this out and see if you've got any problems with setting it up. So my starting point here is I've got a clean install of the demo version of Atavism. So this is, if I run this, I've got it all set up and working. And we will log in. So I've already created an account. I've actually made sure this is an administrator account as well. Okay, and I've created a character, challenger, and I can enter the world. Okay, there we go, and I can run around. So this is ordinary Atavism demo, just set up and working absolutely fine. So I haven't added anything extra to it. Okay, so this is the starting point for using this plugin. You can either get to this point with core or with the demo, entirely up to you. I've provided some swapped out scenes for both of them. So the next step from there, you will have noticed I've actually installed UMA down here in the UMA folder. So this at the moment is completely disconnected from Atavism. Atavism has no idea how to use UMA. Okay, so the last thing you will need to do is import my UMAtavism package, and that's what we're looking at. This is beta 1 currently. Yes, I know that's a horrible name, but I just couldn't resist mashing the two together, and then we're pretty much good to go. If you have a quick look inside, you'll see I've got a scenes folder, human race, customizer, and some character templates. We'll have a look at all of these, but basically, if I just open this up, the whole plugin is based around these two very small scripts. There's not a lot in there, so feel free to have a look in there and see how this works. It's really simple, and I'm trying to make this work by piggybacking onto the original vanilla characters that are in Atavism. I'm not making lots and lots of custom scripts. The only place where I have got some custom scripts is actually in the character creation screen. But again, this is completely up to you how you handle that. These are just here to get you going. So, two scripts, that's how it works. So, how can we get up and running with this as quick as possible? Well, I've created some simple scenes here, both for the core, we've got a login and a character select scene, and for the demo version, which I'm going to be using. So, these are direct replacements for the scenes that we're currently using in Atavism. So I'm going to open the login scene. I don't know if you noticed there, the only thing that I've added to that scene is the UMADCS library, and on there I've added the don't destroy script, which comes directly from Atavism. So this basically ensures that in every scene that follows the login screen we have access to our UMA library. Simple as that. So very little I've changed there. What we will do is we'll pop these in to our build order. So let's switch off the login and character selection from the main demo, and we'll insert my new login and my new character selection. Okay, they look good, and let's close it. So that should now be good to go. So let's just try this out. If I hit play and log in, again, I've done a few scripts in here that just alter the way this works, but you won't notice it. So we can still work with fixed models. It doesn't cause any problems with that. But I've got to create a character, and I've actually replaced the human class here. So we now have UMA male and female ready to go. I've got some adjusters here. Again, this is just some example code at the moment, but it's quite flexible if you look at how these work. I'll go over this in detail at some point. Head, let's see, what can we do here? Let's give him a very long nose, do you think? Yes, that'll do. And again, just some examples of how we can fiddle with colour on characters. And let's give him blue eyes. Yes. A hairstyle slider that we can go through different hairstyles with. Let's keep that nice hairstyle there, and we'll call him Ginger. Excellent. So now Ginger is in our character list. If we hit enter, and there we are in game, ready to rock, and Ginger is running around in our environment just like a normal character. Okay, so this works out of the box. It's very, very quick and simple to set up. What I'll do in the next video, we'll have a look at setting up some clothing. Hello and welcome back. So in the last video we got ourselves into this position where we've got our UMAs up and running in game. So let's just stop this and look at adding some clothes. So the way the clothing system works is pretty straightforward. Let's have a look in my human race folder. I've got a resources folder in here which basically replicates the structure of this resources folder out in the root. So if we open this up, you'll see my prefabs for the human, male and female. We'll have a look at these in a bit more depth later, but just to sort of give you an idea how this integration works, I'm actually using all of the standard components that you would use on a fixed model. Obviously I've got my UMA dynamic character avatar on there. I've also got a bone structure. If I actually bring him into the hierarchy, you can see here I've got his skeleton built. So this was using the UMA bone builder tool. So the beauty of doing this, let's just delete him again. The beauty of doing this is that I can use vanilla components. So if you have a look at this, I've got an animator, I've got the mob controller 3D, character controller, the standard mob appearance script, which on here I've got I've just set up the main hand and the offhand, but importantly I've set up this root socket as the root bone. This is where we're going to attach our UMA clothing items. You'll see how that works shortly, so that must be defined. And we've got the mob name, the sound set, and the only other thing that makes this different is I have this little character manager script at the bottom. Nothing to fiddle with. This basically is the bridge between UMA and Atavism. Okay, so nothing complex there. If I want to add another UMA race, it is simply a case of pulling this drop down, changing to whichever race I want. So we'll do this later with the orc race, and basically saving a new prefab. So nice and straightforward, really, really simple. So anyway, I'm getting sidetracked there. Let's have a look at actually creating some clothes. And I've done some templates in here. So if you've ever created clothes or equipment for characters before, this is nothing unusual. First of all, we have our equipment models. So normally, even with UMA, you would do this with a sword. It's an attachable item that attaches to a bone on the character. We're going to do something very similar with our UMA clothing. So say for example these boots, let's have a look at the prefab. The prefab, rather than having a model on it, is an empty game object, and it contains this recipe list. So the recipe list, if we have a little look here, at the moment I've got a size of 2, which means there are 2 races defined in here. So if this item is used on the human male DCS, it will use this recipe. If this item is used on the female DCS, it will use a different recipe. I could add orc male, orc female, and add some different recipes. So the same item attached to a different race can use a different mesh entirely. Okay, so very flexible and very simple. Okay, so that is my prefab that's going to get attached to the root of my character whenever I equip a piece of clothing. What you would also create, again, before we went into the database, we would have a look at the warrior boots here. And this is the equipment display. This is what we refer to in the database. And if you look, it's pretty straightforward. I'm saying it's an attached object. I'm referring back to that prefab, which has the UMA stuff on it, and I'm socketing it on the root of the object. Okay, so this is going to actually connect to the root. We're not going to say anything because it's an empty game object. Okay, so I'm kind of cheating the system here. So all we've really got to do to get this item to work, in fact, let's do something a bit more obvious rather than the feet. Let's do the chest. Okay, so we'll actually bring this as an item into the game. So let's open up our Atavism editor panel. There we are. And let's go to item, and let's create a piece of armor, and we'll call this warrior chest plate. We'll say this is plate mail. Let's fetch an icon for it, and I believe these are all set up. Yep, so search for warrior, let's put that on. Looks good. I'm going to say that goes on the chest, and no, I don't think there's anything else I want to add for now, so I'll just save that data. Okay, so that is now with this massive index number, but it is now in the database. One thing I forgot to add there, I forgot to add my equipment display, so let's just quickly put that warrior chest into there and save again. That's been updated. So now I need to generate the prefab for that. In the demo this can take some time, so I will fast forward after I've clicked this button here, and we get lots of little work circles. See you in a moment. Okay, so now that's cooked, we should just need to restart the server. So I'm going to shut down the server and restart. Okay, there we go. Now I know you're dying to press play and see if this works. I can guarantee you it won't, because I've forgotten to do something. These are the referring to some actual recipes that are pieces of the original Atavism integration. So I haven't imported any of those models yet. So if we run now, everything will work, but nothing will appear on our UMA, because these are not in our library. So let's quickly steal all of that lovely clothing, and indeed the orcs, out of the Atavism integration package. So let's open it up. So this is the one from A panel. This is what you would normally install as an integration. So I'm going to double click that and bring that into Unity, but I'm not going to bring in any of the integration files, just the UMA models. Okay, so now that's decompressed. This is obviously the UMAtavism integration from the A panel. I don't want to bring any of this in, so I'm just going to start collapsing things here. Right, so I'm not importing anything. If I open up the Dragon Sand folder, and let's collapse some of this stuff, all I want, here we are, all I want is this UMA content folder. So Dragon Sand, Atavism objects, UMA content, and this purely contains slots, overlays, recipes. That's what I'm after. So let's import that. Okay, so now that's imported, let's tell our UMA library all about those items. So let's open up the global library, and we just imported those into Dragon Sand, Atavism objects, and there we are, UMA content. So let's drag that folder over here, and we should see a lot of items appear in a moment. There we are. Okay, so all of those items, the mage armor, everything that normally comes with the UMA integration, is now part of our UMA. So with a bit of a look, this should now work. So let's give it a whirl. Fingers crossed. In we go, log in. Okay, select our character and bring him into the world. Okay, so now we're in the world. Let's cheat that item into his inventory. So open the admin panel and let's generate. Let's search for the warrior. There it is, warrior chestplate. And we'll add one of those. Go. There it is in our inventory. Let's right click and equip it. And there it is on our dude. Okay, so that's the male version. Just to prove that our system works, let's quickly log out. And let's create another character. Let's have a female this time. She can be called Jill. Let's give her a bit more shoulder muscle as well. And we'll change her skin colour. And give her white hair and change. Yeah, that's fine. Let's create Jill. Okay, and enter the world. Okay, there she is, and let's do the same for her. Let's cheat that bad boy in there. So again, let's generate search for warrior. There it is. One of those, please. Go. And let's add that, and she now has the female version of that armor. So again, if we'd set that up for an orc, we'd get the orc version of the armor, and so on and so forth. So if you can, it would be great if you could test that in a multiplayer environment for me. So far, from the tests I've done, it's all worked perfectly. And what I'll do shortly is I'll come back and record a little video of me adding the orc race to our UMA system. But I think if you've had a good look at what I've done so far, you can probably work out how to do it. Okay, so thank you beta testers, and I'll hopefully see you soon.